nice blanket right here. Like I could.
Yo.
Hey guys, we're live. Oh God, we're so stupid. Oh,
wait.
Welcome. Welcome to Fanbro Show, the Black Panther Deep Dive Edition. My name is Tatiana King Jones, the Grand Duchess of Tech, aka Wakanda's favorite tech girl. And
Wow.
I am joined this evening by my lovely co-hosts.
Well, that would be me, DJ Benhameen, aka the Count of Crown Wakanda, also known as Wakanda's favorite DJ.
There we go.
And W'Kabi's lost conscience.
Wow.
Have you talked to me in a while, W'Kabi? You might want to hit me up. Also, I got to hit up Wakanda's favorite lawyers because the intro might have had a bit of a little, we might need to talk.
Well, there's one more person here that needs to introduce themselves.
Yes. It is me, Jeff J, aka the King of Queens Village, aka Silk T'Chaka.
Yes!
Shout out to Twitter. Yes. Yo, let me give all hat tips to somebody on Twitter has that display name and it made the round. So salute to you.
Oh, that's fire.
That's the best one. Like
I love it.
That's Vince Carter. Shut it down. It's over.
I love it. Before we get into the thick of things, let's first say thank you to everyone who attended our Crown Wakanda Gala screening event last Thursday. During the Black Panther premiere, everyone who showed up to the Alamo Drafthouse in Brooklyn, fire. It was completely sold out. About 180 people showed up. We literally had dancers, drummers. We had rose petals being sprinkled before the feet of our guests. It was phenomenal. And then obviously we saw what I consider the best Marvel movie to date. It was dope.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like you said, the 360 video,
Yes!
everything. I mean, Crown Wakanda, if you weren't there, make sure you check the Instagram at Crown Wakanda, the Instagram at Fanbro Show, the Twitter, all that stuff, the YouTube, because we'll be, putting out some videos, everything so you can see, and just check the hashtag Crown Wakanda. Thank you to everyone using that hashtag, because I've seen all kind of videos from nationwide from people using this hashtag. So that's crazy to me. To see something, that Tatiana and, everyone else started. And now, gotta give props for props too. And now it's like, the Grand Duchess,
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Wakanda's favorite tech queen.
Yes. Oh, I like that one better. Also, make sure you guys hit up GoFundMe.com/Crown Wakanda Curriculum, because that is our GoFundMe where we're helping to raise money to continue this. We want to continue bringing the youth to see Black Panther. We actually had a youth screening the last Friday where we gave them free Funko Pops. They were able to choose between Black Panther and Nakia and all of them, and they saw the movie for free. And so thank you to Brooklyn NAACP who helped get the kids in there. Also, Girls Inc. was in there. Black Girls Code was in there. There was a lot of kids in there. So we want to definitely make sure we're continuing this and also bringing the educational component to the children as well. So if you hit up our GoFundMe page, you'll get to learn more about what our whole curriculum and initiative stands for and what we're trying to do going forward. And we'll appreciate your support.
Word. And now,
yes, as promised, we're doing a deep dive on Black Panther. This is full of spoilers. This is your first and only warning. If you're still here after, tough cookies, because we're talking about everything and going in. Specifically going to be talking about the different scenes, the themes, characterizations, the special effects and the music, and of course, other things that come along with it. But I'm trying to figure out how do we get started, man. Where should we start, Ben? Should we start at the characters?
Oh, I mean, Jeff J wasn't here, for our initial video.
That's true.
Our first, which was full reactions, the first time we saw the movie, because I've now seen it 3 times.
I've seen it 5 times.
Wow. Yeah. Go ahead.
Literally.
Panthers Anonymous in here because I think I've twice, and I've been itching to go a 3rd time. If it wasn't for fighting the flu, I would have saw it a 3rd time. But yeah. But it's a good problem.
It's a great problem because I feel you could. The other night I was trying to go, but I got busy, so I couldn't make it. So it's like I was All-Star Weekend in LA, and I wanted to leave the party I was DJing, but I had equipment. Otherwise, I was going to walk across the street and go see the joint again. You know, so safe to assume we all think that it's a fantastic movie overall.
Right. So, you know what? Let's start there then. Would you consider this? I mean, I said my piece, but would you consider this the best Marvel movie or one of the top 5 or top 3?
That is so tough.
And why?
Okay, why? I was watching Civil War again and Winter Soldier, which are 2 of my favorites. There's also Iron Man 3, which I know a lot of people disagree with, but I love, and Avengers, because Avengers was something that should not have been able to work, and it did work for the most part, and I love Avengers, and there's so many moments that I'll just never forget being in the theater. But then again, Black Panther, you know, I'll never forget being in the theater. Like the 3 times that I've seen it, each one of those times has been a special occasion. You know, Crown Wakanda, you know, shout outs to April Rain and the whole Twitter and the Blackbirds family for that one, you know, sitting there with Black Thought, you know, in front.
That is true. We did sit behind Black Thought, and he promised that he's going to be on the show. But he was blown away. Like, I think if you guys go on Questlove's IG page, Black Thought, like, immediately at the end of the movie, texted Questlove, like, son, this was the best. Like he flipped all the way out. So we're going to get some more of that. What about you, Jeff?
So for me, I would say it's top 3, arguably number 1.
Okay.
I got to put Civil War and Winter Soldier up there. I think, personally, the Cap movies are the best comic book movie trilogy of all time.
I agree. Winter Soldier, it's nothing beats that. From that perspective, yeah.
Right. And, you know, for people who say Civil War was just a glorified Avengers movie, deal with it. When people can use characters, you use it. So those 3, I like the I say the first Avengers just for the historical significance and just the fact that they really got B and C level characters to make $1 billion. Like, it's crazy to me. But I would say that the first Guardians of the Galaxy, because it shocked the world with how good it was. And, you know, I also think, for me personally, I'm a Spider-Man fan, so Homecoming was
Homecoming was freaking phenomenal.
But it's like you know, Homecoming was great, but it's like, all right, that's my personal fave. But when we're talking about overall, I would say if somebody said Black Panther was the best, I can't argue with them. That's why it's arguably number 1.
Okay, so let's go into why, regardless of whether you put Black Panther at 1 or 3 or 5, let's go into why we feel this way. So we can start, let's go ahead and start with the characterizations and the motivations and how each character was either established and how it was portrayed. So let's start at the top. T'Challa, Black Panther, played by Chadwick Boseman. What did you think about him?
I mean, that's HU. I thought he was the greatest actor in the world, and I hope he wins the Oscars. You know, but no, I thought Chadwick was good. I thought the whole. I mean, you can't really get into T'Challa without getting into his relationships with everyone else in the movie, with Killmonger, with his family. You know, and I thought that was so brilliant. I like speaking on that, like his family. I think T'Challa's relationship with the women in his life defines him so well. And helps him become such a full character by the end of the film that I like T'Challa, but he definitely wasn't my favorite character in the film. I'll say that.
Right. I would say from a characterization perspective, Chadwick's T'Challa / Black Panther was interesting because he was almost too perfect. And I say that in the sense that twofold. One, I can't recall, after 5 viewings, I can't recall a point where it was something really wrong on one way or another with what he did or what he said. He didn't, and not that he should, but he didn't demean anybody. He didn't say anything wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. It was just like he was an exceptional Black man, an exceptional Black leader. And on the other side of that, you never get to see that in many, many films, especially not a film of this magnitude. So I really enjoyed the fact, and some people will deride it, like he said, oh, he's just too perfect, he had no flaws. But in a sense, that's actually a good thing, because like I said, we're at a lack of seeing that in cinema, period. So in order to see this Black man who's portraying not a criminal, not someone who's beating on women, and we'll get to that in a minute, but not someone who is just negative all around, to be able to see this person who is upstanding and is exemplary of what the tip top of society, if you will, would be. I appreciated that he was played in that manner. Now, that isn't to say that T'Challa is without his flaws. Obviously, if you read the comics, especially the most recent Ta-Nehisi Coates run, if you watch the animation, like if you watch the Avengers, when he shows up on the Avengers, he got some issues. And it's good to see and understand that. I think in the next movie and future movies, you'll start to see more of his flaws and you may see more cracks. But from this first outing, I think they displayed him pretty well.
I didn't think that he didn't have flaws either. You know, I wouldn't say that like he was flawless. I mean, I understand what you're saying. Like, as far as he wasn't just outright doing any wild shit or anything like that. But I thought that he did make mistakes through the film. Mm-hmm. And he did, certain things were done by his pride that led to his downfall too. Like somebody pointed out to me, there's a really major moment in the battle between him and Killmonger when he has the chance to finish Killmonger off and he tells him yield, and then Killmonger doesn't yield. So he has perhaps that's the right thing, perhaps that's the honorable thing, but also maybe he should have just done them off before that. Maybe he shouldn't have accepted the challenge in the first place. So there's a lot of things, like, I wouldn't say that T'Challa's perfect, and I think he's done well in that regard to not be perfect. But I do agree with you that it's dope to see a black man who's like, doesn't take advantage of the women, is doing the upstanding thing, is a hero that anyone can emulate. So, hats off to Chadwick and Ryan and everyone for that.
So for me, I think his character flaws weren't really noticeable because they weren't bad character flaws. I think his honor was a character flaw for everybody. Like, he was flawed, making mistakes because of his honor. Mm-hmm. For example, he promised Kwesi that he would bring Klaw back.
Yep.
Right.
Daniel Kaluuya's character. I don't know if I butchered his name or whatever.
W'Kabi,
right. I don't know why I'm pulling out every Nigerian name I know and shit. But right. So like W'Kabi, he promised W'Kabi that he would bring Klaw back. Didn't bring Klaw back and brought you imagine W'Kabi, he's looking at him. He brings a totally different white man than the one that he promised to bring.
Well, you don't have to imagine. Actually, that was one of the parts Benhameen and I were dying at when it came to W'Kabi's
his reaction.
W'Kabi gave him that look like,
yeah,
fam, how like, you ain't bring him?
Well, and they have the most advanced technology. You could have called ahead of time and said, "Yo, fam, something happened. Like, I'll explain it to you on the way." He didn't do that. He didn't kill Killmonger when he had to. There were multiple parts where his honor led to his downfall. It's like the adage, you don't want to be too nice because people will walk all over you. Yeah. But that magnanimity it left him some blind spots that were able to be used. But I do think Chadwick played the role well, and he allowed, because his internal conflict with isolation versus inclusionism and actually helping the rest of the world, that was a fight that he had with himself, but he didn't overshadow anybody else around him. He was the ultimate team player and the glue that kept everything together. And in all his interactions, he allowed everybody else to shine equally. Because if you think about Wakanda, that's the power structure where women are at a equal footing to men, and everybody has their own level of power where it's equal. He's still the king, but he allows everybody to do their thing. So I think in that regard, he did well.
Absolutely. So let me go back to you again, Jeff. What was your thoughts on Nakia, played by Lupita Nyong'o?
Oh, she did. Yeah, I mean,
Lupita Nyong'o.
You see, I'm already stuttering. But no, she did amazing. Like, I loved her character, her being a war dog, being a spy, and just playing that role where her and Killmonger basically had similar ideas, but just totally different methods on how to go with it. And she was that voice of reason, and that she experienced the outside world unlike anybody else. So she has that dual perspective of knowing what Wakanda's about and knowing what the rest of the world needs. She's out fighting the Boko Haram. She's out doing what she needs to do. So she's always been that voice of reason and that guiding light, but she also has a bigger sense of purpose that she won't let any type of love or honor or like traditional duty restrict her from. So in that regard, you know, she did well. And just in terms of the fighting, the action, she was a great character to watch.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. To me, Nakia was the real revolutionary. I know everyone's giving the revolutionary mantle to Killmonger, and in a way, yeah, sure. But the real revolutionary to me was Nakia, because she was able to do everything you said, Josh. She was able to understand that there are better ways to present Wakanda, what Wakanda can share with the world, with everyone outside of that country, without being imperialistic about it, without being murderous about it, without being like a dictator about it. She was able to see from all sides and do it in a way that was equitable around the board. And she's the type of person where if you just listen to her, then the whole world would just change for the better immediately. So I agree with you on that. Then just as far as she was characterized, love the fact that she was just scrappy. She, being a spy, her fighting style, when you compare it to all the other fighting styles, she was dirty. She would play dirty. She would fight dirty. She would use whatever she can get her hands on. Prime example in the casino scene, or the illegal casino scene, how she took off her heels and, you know, whacked the shit out of that guy. Like, she didn't care, right? And then even picked up a gun, one of her adversaries' guns, to shoot it at Klaw. So, and you'll see that throughout the movie, that even towards the end, when she has no choice, but she puts on the Dora Milaje armor because that's what she needs to protect herself. And she says she's not a Dora, but she uses what she has. And that is an example of her overall. She's incredibly resourceful, but not to a fault. I think she's incredibly resourceful in a manner that is still inclusive and that is still loving of, as she says, loving her country and saving her country.
I think Nakia is like the best character in the film. I mean, well, not the best, but she's my favorite character. And she's the one who is who she is from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie. Like, she definitely learns and grows, but she's already on the path that she should be on, that T'Challa should be on, that Killmonger should be on, that pretty much all of them should be on, that Wakanda should be on. She's already on that path. Use the technology, use the knowledge to help the rest of the world, and in particular, help Africa. So that she's already on it. You know, she learns and grows throughout it, but she's already on the path, and that's what I love about her. And then you mentioned another point, so we can jump over to Shuri, you know, because that point when you're talking about what she puts on the armor, I mean, Shuri has so many moments in the movie, but one of the subtle ones that I just love so much is when she's like, yo, shorty, the fuck is you talking about? Put on this armor. You know, like, we're about to go out here and fight, you know? Like, I'm not a Dora. Like, what? You know, get this armor. And that's what I love about Shuri. You know, she just cuts everyone down to size, you know, just gets straight to the point. You know, like another one of the greatest lines of film ever, you know, uttered. Don't stare me like that, colonizer, you know? Like, I mean, just cuts everyone from her brother to, you know, Agent Ross.
She roasts everyone.
And that's all over that movie.
Yes. She roasts everybody. And to me, she stole the show, especially like anytime she was on screen, and she had the best one-liners, maybe rival that of M'Baku. But her, like, I just wanted to be her best friend. I just want to be a sister like that. Shuri's the type of person where you just want to hang out with all the time, because you know it's going to be fun times. You know you're going to learn something new. You know that she may roast you, but it's all in good fun and it's all in love. Like, she's not there to hurt you. She's there, if anything, to uplift you and make you better. And that's what she says throughout the film, particularly when she's talking about technology, but you can take that another level. Like, she's always saying it may work, but it can be better. She's all about improvement and progression of your life, really. And again, her one-liners, the what are those? The fact that she brought back that meme from like 2015, it's just like, yo, she makes stuff that's old new again. She innovated, and literally in the very line she was innovating.
Yeah, I love this. She was like my favorite hype beast ever in a movie. She legit is like an well, foreign to us, but like an international student who knows all about American culture and applies it without sounding fake.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like she knows how to apply it. She applies it in all the right circumstances, and she was just a breath of fresh air. Like to me, she's definitely a Disney princess now.
Absolutely.
She has to be a Disney princess. That's first off. But just in the way she was able to flaunt her intelligence without being conceited or being pompous, like it was just like natural. It's like I pick up and drink this water. That's how she has like level 20 intelligence. And everything touched back to technology. And she was quick to let Ross know, this isn't magic. This is technology, when he was trying to figure out how his bullet wound healed. And everything technologically in Wakanda centered around her. And even when other characters challenged, like when M'Baku challenged her, and why are you leaving your technological advances to a child when she's the smartest person in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Like it's just refreshing to see. And Letitia Wright, like between this and her role in Black Mirror.
Oh yes, in the Black Museum episode.
She's batting 1,000 this year. So yeah, for me on the women's side, she definitely was my favorite character by far.
Yeah, like I said, I love Nakia for being Nakia, but Shuri is Shuri. Like I've said since then, she's Black America's little sister, and there's a lot of levels to her. Like we already talked about, the fact that she represents this super smart girl, but then she also represents something about Africa that is like the cross between T'Challa and Killmonger. Like Killmonger feels like everyone in Africa doesn't F with America. And a lot of African Americans feel that. And that's like one of the personal things about that Ryan Coogler was talking about. But Shuri represents a young Africa. And I've been to Africa where when you meet young Africans who are in love with America and love African Americans and are just hyped when they meet us because they're like, yo, you know about hip hop too. Let's talk about it, and you are actually there and they get to, they love American culture so much, but then they also love African culture so much. And that's what I loved about Shuri, because she represents that middle ground and that real life ground, that people don't really see, because a lot of us think about Africa. Yo, them Africans over there, they don't mess with us. And then when you go there, Africans are so happy that you're there. Every time I've been there. And that is one thing I'll say even about the movie as a whole that puts it, to me, is the top Marvel movie ever. And one of the greatest films I've ever seen, like I keep telling people, is because I've never seen a film that makes me feel like it is when I step off the plane in Ethiopia. I've never seen a film like that, unless it's a film made in Africa where, it's like they show Africa in a good light. I never get to see that in a film. And so to see that in Black Panther was just such a revelation, and why it's, to me, one of the best movies ever. And, but yeah, Shuri and Nakia for president.
So let's get into Denai Guida's Okoye.
And her mark-ass boyfriend.
and her mark-ass boyfriend, a.k.a. W'Kabi, a.k.a. Daniel Kaluuya, a.k.a. Sunken Place, because he was absolutely in the sunken place the entire movie. Entire movie.
It's like, come on, Daniel, you just got out, and now you're going to get back in? It's like, come on. Like, did you not learn anything?
Before let me pause on Okoye real quick and let me get into W'Kabi.
Yes, please.
This mark ass motherfucker. Like what? Okay, I understand what he was supposed to represent, but what kind of character is that pissed that some guy that has been there for a couple of hours, you immediately throw all your loyalties to him? And you see what happened. You see that was the wrong path and that was the wrong choice. This man does not have the power of discernment. You see what Daniel happened to him and Get Out. He trusted all these white people and you see what happened. He almost died. Now here we are again. He trusted this random Killmonger and he almost died. So like, what is his problem?
Well, to be fair, he wasn't really random, right? He had the ring.
He was random to the, I don't care about the ring. He was random to the point that he showed up a few hours ago and basically took over the entire kingdom.
He brought the dude that killed his parents.
Right.
I'm not asking no questions. My friend came back with a different ass white man. You brought me Klaw. I gotta at least hear you out. Like, we gotta go to the Capitol and talk about this.
It's okay to hear, and I agree, it's okay to hear someone out. It's another thing to be like, you are now my king forever and a day, and we are together for real? Like, that's all it takes?
He was like, T'Challa.
He saw Claw.
Killmonger.
My God. Like,
he had a new song real quick.
I mean, to also be fair to W'Kabi, T'Challa did lose the fight. So it's at that point, it's, yo, you're my king. You are my king. You are my king. And I might have wanted you to be the king, but on paper, you're my king. So, yo, let's send these guns. Let's get it.
W'Kabi was a hater as well, okay? Because remember when he was taking all them L's during the battle, and he gave T'Challa that face. He said, I'm about to run up and do it. Like, another point with me and Benhameen dying laughing. He run up on the hill, run up on a little rock, and blow his David and Goliath horn, and here come the rhinos. And it's just like, you ain't need to do that. That was petty as hell.
Petty as hell. Yeah. But see, I love W'Kabi because he's petty from the very first moment you meet him. Because the first, one of my favorite moments in this film is also this, because, the women, I was thinking about it for a long time, and there are a couple times where they do talk about Nakia and T'Challa's relationship, but it's not really that much. But the very first time you meet W'Kabi, he's like, yo, Nakia's back in town. What's up, though? just like a little school, like he's in 5th grade. And look at this petty ass Negro. And then you just see his pettiness just keep expanding from there and there. And it just grows and grows until he on the rock throwing the horn like. Yo, but his face right. I mean, there's so many memes and gifs of this movie. His face right before he blows the horn.
He was so mad. He did this. He said, I'm losing. And he was so mad.
And you knew he was petty because he waited. He waited. Like he looked. He was like.
He looked at him like, should I do this? Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Fuck it.
Looked at him like, say I won't. Say I won't.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Hold me back. Hold me back. Nobody's there.
Just can't hold me back. Like
W'Kabi.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean,
and back to his woman.
Yeah, back to his woman. W'Kabi was entertaining though. He was entertaining.
If she's not a single woman at the beginning of Infinity War, I got a problem. That's all I'm gonna say. Like if she's not, if Okoye is not a single woman at the beginning of Infinity War, we have a problem.
But here's the thing: like she, as tough and as no nonsense as Okoye is, she's clearly kept giving him multiple chances. Like when they were in the throne room and Killmonger was talking about, oh, we about to ship all these weapons all over the world, and she was just like, well, that's not really our way. And then of course W'Kabi's bitch ass comes in all loud and strong talking about, well, that didn't work in the past. And she looked at him like, my ninja, you don't know him.
Eddie.
So that was the first time. And then during the battle, when he was like, my love, and then he tried to play her with that line, that would you kill me, my love? And he said it with the okey doke voice. And she was just like, yes, bitch, what do you think? Like, this is about Wakanda, not you. But she gave him another chance. And it seems to me that she keeps giving him chances.
And the worst part about that sequence is the fact that he would have kept trying to kill her if he had been winning.
Absolutely.
W'Kabi is the worst. Like W'Kabi is straight trash. Like he is. I feel you, Jeff. I feel you, brother. But no.
I'm not kidding. I'm just giving you facts, brother.
But I'm glad Benhameen said that because it's true. If the foot was on the shoe was on the other foot, W'Kabi would have just went in on her, and it would have been no chances, nothing like that. But to your point, Ben, perhaps after the passage of time, we will see that Okoye's like, F that. That was a mistake. We're gonna move on.
Yep.
And hopefully she would move on to this next character that I love so much. M'Baku.
Here you go.
Played by Winston.
You got the floor.
I love him so much.
You need some?
Heart-shaped eyes aside, let's just talk about him as, again, amazing one-liners, just amazing conversation that he would have. I actually really like the fact that he seemed like this kind of gruff, contentious person, but he was actually full of a lot of heart. Mm-hmm. And yes, he's another one who had an honor, maybe a good thing and a bad thing, that he was so full of honor, because that, he was basically about to let T'Challa break his neck before he was going to yield. But T'Challa was like, yo, your people need you. So he was just like, all right, let me go ahead and yield. But that being said, M'Baku is incredibly strong in presence. He's incredibly strong in ideals. And I like the fact that he stood his ground. I like the fact that he gave T'Challa the business. When T'Challa woke up and he was having a conversation with T'Challa in the Jabari throne room, he was just like, why should I help you? You're the first king in centuries to show up. So why should I be your homie now? And I like the fact that he was just so real and to the point with it.
I mean, I think you said it all, but no, I do got to add one thing. The fact that they made Man-Ape, a character that Ta-Nehisi Coates had to murder in his book, just to redeem him pretty much, into a viable and like one of the best characters. The whole Jabari tribe, praise to Hanuman, like everything about it. No, we're vegetarians. Just like, I mean, it's just so many levels to it. It's like the same thing that happened in Civil War when you had Black Panther be introduced, and he's this dope ass character in the middle of this movie that really doesn't have anything to do with him, and it's like you have this whole dopeness of the Jabari tribe and M'Baku just introduced, and he has a lot to do with the movie. Just like Black Panther had a lot to do with the movie, but he's not the main plot. He's not the main antagonist. He's not the main protagonist, but he's such a refined and dope character with so many levels to him in the short time that he's on screen. It's just incredible.
Yes, there was.
All right. I mean,
Are you done? Are you done?
Are you done? Are you done?
I did like the variation. They spoke about it. I read some interviews with him where they varied his accent because the Jabari lived in the mountains.
So they were slightly...
It was slightly different. It was based off of Igbo in Nigeria. But I like that. He was like unintended comic relief. Like he's the complete asshole who says the most inappropriate things at the most inappropriate times. And it was just fun. He was a fun character because of his pride. Like his pride allowed him to save T'Challa. It allowed him to overcome the embarrassment of losing to tap out, and it allowed him to help them in the end. When you would think that he would allow it to overcome him. So even that pride, he's like, yo, we don't really fuck with Wakanda, but that's our king. It reminds me of Black people who signed up for the armed forces in World War I and World War II and Vietnam and all those other wars where you coming home and people overseas are treating you better. Your enemy combatants are treating you better than your people at home, where you're not even considered a full person. And I see that little juxtaposition with what M'Baku did with T'Challa. So I really appreciated it.
Oh man, and just one last his intro when the Jabari come walking out of the cave, so, and the shot, like the cinematography, everything.
Because of him, like when people start peeking out of turn, I'm gonna start doing like that ape grunt.
Yeah.
every time,
You do not speak.
You do not speak.
So many claps in the theater.
Oh man.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go into one person that we skipped that was pretty much the very first person we met was in Jobu, played by Sterling K. Brown. Now he was on a completely different level. It was basically like This Is Us in Wakanda.
I mean,
his dialogue, first of all, a lot of people don't realize it until like after several showings, but in the beginning, the narration is actually in Jobu talking to Njidaka.
All right, now wait a minute there. Has that been confirmed?
No, I'm telling you.
Okay, but that's questionable because how does
it's not questionable because it's the same exact voice.
All right, well, how does he know the end of the story?
What do you mean the end of the story?
He's telling his.
He's not. What are you talking about? In the narration, he talks about how Wakanda came to be.
Oh, okay, so he's not telling him the whole movie. Okay,
no. It's not like he's narrating the movie. No,
he's like, Baba, tell me a story, and then he tells him a story.
No. The story he's talking about is the story of Wakanda.
Okay, all right. Because I always thought that was T'Challa speaking to his son and telling him the
T'Chaka.
movie.
I thought,
I thought T'Challa speaking to his future. Like I thought that was taking place in the future, and that's him speaking to his son, telling him the movie.
Well, I'm not gonna take that away from you. You can use that as one way to look at it. Absolutely. But for what actually it was Jobu.
Well, that's
real fun.
Explaining the story of how Wakanda came to be to N'Jadaka, his son.
Well, yeah, the only reason I thought that was like, I'm like, he wasn't around for the end of the movie, so I'm like,
right. Yeah. But no, but it was literally just that little piece of
the movie for his son.
But a story. Sterling was
Lord of mercy.
He broke my heart. He broke my heart because in the beginning when you first meet him, when they're in Oakland back in 92, and then again when you see him on the ancestral plane, the fact that he has such deep regrets of what happened to his son. He has such deep regret and forlornness about the fact that because of his own radicalization, that was obviously passed off to Killmonger, and it went several shades deeper than that.
Way too far, bro.
Way too far. Like if you see their apartment that they lived in, he had all sorts of straps and all guns all up in there. He had pictures of Public Enemy. He had a photo of Huey P on that chair, that wicker chair. And remember, the way he started was he started in treachery. The way he basically gave up Wakanda's most precious value, one of the Wakanda's most precious value, to the enemy in an effort to further his thinking that we need to arm everybody. So yeah, Killmonger took on that mantle, but just went way overboard with it.
Yeah, and I just love, both of those scenes, and I've been reading more about it. And the second scene becomes so much more powerful the more I read about it and thought about it. Because the fact is, when Black Panther, when T'Challa goes to his ancestral plane, he sees all his ancestors.
Yes.
When Killmonger goes to his ancestral plane, he sees his father, and that's it.
Right. And they only see each other. They don't. The ancestral plane is in their apartment.
In the hood, in the ghetto.
In there, in Oakland.
They're not even connected to the Africa plane, that every other, person on this line is just connected to. And it's like, that's so deep and that's so crazy. And that moment when Killmonger tells him, well, maybe it's your people who are lost. And he just starts crying because he's like, nah, brother, that's, you've gone too far. This is not what I want.
And Jobu realizes he's effed up. Because his son is so far gone and he knows there's no saving him at this point. You can't save him in real life. You can't save him on the ancestral plane. Nope. Killmonger is too far gone. And I think that should have been our foreshadowing to understand that. And Jobu knew that was the end of his son. And Jobu knew his son was basically dead to rights at that point. And he knew that very early on, which is why he was in tears. And the fact that N'Jadaka, aka Killmonger, may or may not join Jobu in the ancestral plane because he's not connected in that way. So as you mentioned, you see how when T'Challa goes to ancestral plane, everybody who been died is there. And everyone who's connected to him is there. But because Killmonger doesn't have that connection, when he dies, is he going to show up again on some plane? Or not?
And that's what this article I was reading was talking about, is the fact that Killmonger's ancestors were lost to slavery. They were lost to the void. Right. There's nothing. They're all in the ocean, like he said. There's nothing of them. There's no ancestral plane.
Yeah.
So it's like, like we said, we could keep going this. But yeah, Sterling, just beautiful.
It's also the point that you see the former Black Panthers too on the essential plane.
Yes.
So when T'Challa goes there, you see all the former kings and all of them. Because Jobu was the prince. He probably, if he died, and if he would have went through the ritual, he probably would have saw the same people. But Killmonger only saw him because that was the only tie he had. Because his mom was here. And at this point, Sterling K. Brown is on demand tears. As soon as I saw him, I said, here we go. I said, let me just pull out my tissue right now. As soon as I saw him pop up with the ancestral prayer, I said, here come the tears.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It was tough, but it was such an amazing performance. Let's talk about another amazing performance, and probably the top person that everyone keeps talking about. Killmonger, aka Eric Stevens, aka N'Jadaka, played by Michael B. Jordan. So this is the different things.
Marvel's best villain. Marvel's
best villain. He is also a fuckboy. He is also, for some people, he's a revolutionary. For others, he has a point. others I wouldn't. Here's the thing about him. I wouldn't call him a villain. I would definitely call him an adversary. I would call him an antagonist, but not a villain, because although he did heinous things, as mentioned at the top, he brutalized women. He killed 2 women, one of which was his supposed girlfriend. One was Adora Milaje, and then he almost choked to death the woman who was actually who cultivated the herb for him. So he's done heinous things. He's clearly will kill anybody who gets in the way of his mission. But he wasn't doing it blindly. He wasn't some mythological, I've been sent here to kill all the humans and cleanse the earth type of person. He had clear motive and understanding, and he was full of pain. He was full of pain. He was incredibly hurt, and he was also incredibly vulnerable. And when you mix all that together, you get a person who does terrible things to other people, but it's not necessarily just because he's evil. I didn't see that with him at all.
Jeff, you go, because there's too much I can say about Killmonger and everything.
Right. Now, I was a little taken aback by people being surprised that a villain was acting in villainous ways.
They always are, though.
I think with the whole thing with the Killmonger discussion, first of all, shout out to Ryan Coogler and his team and everybody, the writers and everybody, that a Marvel, a quote unquote comic book movie, like we act as if it's not a movie based in other genres, but whatever, but that a movie from Marvel would foster so much discussion. So shout out to that, because you can't deny it. But as far as Killmonger, I would just say I don't think it was, just in terms of his mission and his goal, I don't think it was targeted against Black women. I don't think it was targeted against women. I mean, his name is Killmonger. He's an operative from the CIA who knows how to destabilize countries. The country of Wakanda is based on strength from the king and from women. The whole army is women. If they were a bunch of broods from from space or the Kree.
Wow, nice reference there.
Yeah, I pulled that out my ass. I'm not even. If it was anybody, if it was anybody, he would have tore through them. At that airfield, he killed everybody.
Yeah, he was all about killing.
Right,
opportunity.
Period.
So I don't think it was that, but I do think the whole when I was joking and saying Killmonger was right at the high level, every despot or dictator could have good points. Broken clock is right twice a day, but how you enact them separates you completely. And I think him showing what differentiates him from other villains for me is that he was hurt indirectly by Wakanda because his father never took him, because his father left him, which is the plight of a lot of, many Black kids in the inner city, because of jails, because of violence, because of crack epidemic, everything that you could say that's plagued African Americans in this country. And he became a statistic, but not because of that, because his own family killed him and abandoned him. So he has that pain. Plus he has that perspective where he feels this country is hiding and not supplying the people who look like them with the tech and the resources in order to liberate themselves. So I'm going to liberate them. I'm going to become their king, and don't nobody better cross me, or I'm going to choke you out. I'm going to murder you. And this is what we're going to do. So at that point, all he knows how to do is destabilize. So yeah, we're going to put weapons in the hands of, we'll put them in the gang's hands. We'll put them in the mobsters' hands. As long as they Black, they'll figure it out. When it's dude, that's not really the way. But even with all that flawed logic, the way that he was able to balance that, and you could show some type of empathy for him in that, like at a high level, and just the way he executed it, that was, on the male side, he was one of my favorites.
Yeah. All he knew is destabilization. All he knew is pain. So that's what he used. Those were his tools to inflict upon other people. And in fact, to a degree, he reminded me of one of my favorite villains ever, Lex Luthor, because I say Lex Luthor gets misunderstood, but people, I wouldn't necessarily call Killmonger misunderstood. I would just say his methods are highly questionable. He may have a generally good idea, but then it's just not rooted in a charitable or equitable nature. Same thing with Lex. Lex may have a fantastic ideas, but the way he goes about it is just like, bruh, you may be taking it a step too far, which is why you fall into the villain category. That said, and as the analogy that everyone has come to understand now, like if T'Challa represents being Black and connected to your roots, connected to your family, connected to completely connected to your heritage. Killmonger represents the exact opposite. Killmonger represents a lot of Black Americans. I know for me, I vibed with him because he portrayed a lot of the pain that I personally feel. I recently actually filmed myself taking a DNA test because since I was a kid, I've always been upset and hurt by the fact that I don't know my history or my heritage or that background. And granted, I didn't try to overthrow a whole country because of it. But the fact remains that I understand from a fundamental level, I understand that pain. And I understand what it means to feel disconnected. And some people, particularly people who read a lot about the slave trade and stuff like that, they'll even say, well, why didn't our people come back for us? Why come no one search out for us? And there's a whole nother discussion. That's a whole nother discussion that's also based on a false kind of premise. But there are people who ask that. And that's the question that Killmonger proposed as well. Why didn't you come get us? Why didn't you leave me here?
I mean, bullets kill slaves and non-slaves the same way. That's why they didn't come back for us because
it's like, but like I said, that's I'm just presenting the types of narratives that are constantly being presented by different people on different sides of that story, of different sides of that argument, and that's something that Killmonger has said himself. Where was y'all? Why didn't you help us?
And, to echo what both of y'all are saying, like one article that I read that people were, really not agreeing with, I didn't really agree with. I thought it was very well thought out, but people were saying that Killmonger represents the worst of the thuggish mentality of Black America. Like he represents that, the NWA taken to an extreme.
NWA it's not worse. I see that's where I know you didn't say that.
But let me finish though. That's not even the problem. The problem is because he doesn't represent that. Like Jeff and like you said, he represents the CIA. He represents the militarization of, he represents the same tactics that the master used to enslave people, trying to use those, the colonizer used, trying to use those tactics to break down. Like you can't take down them. Like I read in this other article, you can't take down the master's house with the master's tools. The colonizer's tools, you can't use them against them because eventually you just turn to colonization. And that's, once again, this movie works on so many levels because there's always that argument. That's like the fear, Killmonger represents the fear of white people. What happens when you give Black people back the power? Are they going to take revenge? Like the meme is going around right now where Killmonger is, in heaven and the Black man is whipping the white slaves. Like, I mean, shout out to the internet. We never lose. Thank you for that one. Oh my God. Tears of joy. I could not stop crying.
Find that shit while y'all talking so I can send it and make cry.
Crying. So I'm like, that's what I mean, but that's what he represents. He's that side of it, and there's so many different sides that each of these characters represent. But the moment that Killmonger lost me, I mean, beyond choking out a grandmother and killing
Dora and his girl
for
no reason besides just to get the claw.
I mean, he had a reason. He had to get the claw. Like,
but when I mean no reason, I mean. But see, what you've been through with her, you got to get the claw. That is your 100% laser focus. Let's kill her like she means nothing.
And that was the moment. The moment that lost me is when he said, "I killed my own people on this continent to get here." It's like, whoa, bro. Like, whoa. You just turned into the colonizer. You are as bad as them right there. Like, and I'm like, everybody was all hype. We all came out the movie. Killmonger was right. Killmonger was right. But, no. Like,
Killmonger had a point, but I wouldn't say he was right.
No, Nakia was right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Let's go into Zuri, aka Uncle James, played by Forrest Whitaker. Before we get into his performance, the deepness of his performance, let's talk about his accent.
Black
Panther.
Yo, so real quick, I did a survey.
Uncle James.
I did a survey on Twitter, with a poll. Like 75% of the people generally had a favorable opinion of the accents, but that 25% was all about Forrest. Was a majority was about Forrest Whitaker. Yo, dude.
Well, see, what's interesting is what's interesting that South African who was on Twitter was mentioning how he actually was the only one who sounded really South African, where everyone else was, everyone sounded more, because they were also using like the I don't want to mess it up, but I don't want to pronounce it wrong. The Xhosa language, Xhosa language, yeah. So everyone's accent was slightly different, and some of the actors themselves are actually from different countries in Africa. So, or have African, like first generation type connection. But the Black Panther.
Is it because I'm black? Like, you haven't seen Lethal Weapon 2? Is it because I'm black? But you're black. You know
what?
Someone needs to remix.
You know what's interesting? His pronunciations remind me of Orlando Jones when he was giving his monologue in American Gods. Because remember when he was talking to the people on the slave ship, and he was saying, "Did you know that you're black?" Yeah, and that's a very specific pronunciation of the word black. So I understood why it was used, but just in hindsight, it was just funny as hell to me. That said, I think he portrayed the character fine. Like that, to me, that's right up Forrest's alley. Especially recently, he loves to play these characters with different types of accents, different than his natural accent. I did not like him as Saw Gerrera at all in Star Wars, for instance, but he had some weird thing going on with his voice there. So I see that this is just something just adding on to Forrest's repertoire.
Yeah, it's whatever. I'm sorry, but his best moment was, "I'll take you both, Uncle James."
I think the most, I don't know about the best moment, but the most heartfelt moment was when he finally was basically had to fess up to T'Challa, and T'Challa said, "What happened? Who is this guy? How come he has this ring?" And he was just like, "We left him because we had to maintain a lie." And you could see the pain in his voice. Like he didn't want to say it, but he was just, and he knew he was dead ass wrong what he did 20 whatever some odd years ago or 30 years ago. But he was just like, "This is what we did."
His acting was fine. His acting was his level of acting. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was anything potentially remarkable about what he did. It was like I expected him to be, act well, and it worked out for me. He's the uncle of the Black Panther. So
you have to take the L of the accent. It's just like one of those jokes where they pull you to the middle of the room, like, "Yo, come here," and you have to stand there and just take the roast. Like, just take the roast.
Yeah. So, we got to mention Angela Bassett as Queen Ramonda. Regal AF, okay? When she showed up on screen, every time I watched the movie, the entire audience was, whoa, cheering. She oozes regality on a regular basis. Angela Bassett could be sitting there blowing her nose, and you're like, damn, she's such a queen. Damn, she's beautiful. She's perfect, all this stuff. And as Ramonda, to see Ramonda in all her glory with the Zulu influence headdress, and then her neck dress and her costuming just was an extension of her glory. And I gotta mention the fact that in the middle of the movie, when T'Challa was presumed killed, and they're off on the run, and you see her white locks, I almost died because I was like, "Oh my God, that's Storm. Oh my God. Look how close we were." That beautiful and perfect it is. That said, I know that ship has sailed. That's fine. But man, Angela Bassett with white locks, my guy.
She looked good. Everybody can check my profile picture on Twitter, and that just, lets you know how I feel about the queen.
Benhameen met Angela Bassett in the flesh.
I shook her hand. I reached up to touch the sun, and she smiled down at me.
In the flesh.
It was a glorious moment in my life. What can I say?
I can't even see your face.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah, she was just glorious. So that was Angela Bassett, and again, another person where I just expect to blow whatever role she's in out the water, and absolutely she did. She just fit the bill. I don't think anyone else could have did that. I keep, it's funny that I don't mean to, but I keep forgetting them. The white folks, Everett K. Ross, played by Martin Freeman, and Ulysses Klaw, played by, no, it's not whatever, played by Andy Serkis. Now, it's funny that they're two token white guys. That's a little Twitter joke. Tolkien. Yeah, but Martin Freeman as Everett, I didn't really care. I thought he was kind of dry. He served his purpose, but the way he was written was purposefully to be more of a background character. He was purposely written to take on the role that people of color are normally given in most movies, which is you're kind of relegated to the side. You might help out here and there, but you're not as important as these other people. And that was what they were trying to do. Also, they needed the connecting tissue between Civil War and the rest of it. So, all right, fine, whatever. Any special thoughts either of you had about Everett or Martin's performance?
Nah.
Jesus.
Okay. Jesus. Okay. Now, the reason why I said don't say whatever, Benhameen, because Andy Serkis as Ulysses Klaw is still phenomenal.
Mwah. Mwah. Yeah, I mean, that was awesome. That was awesome.
If you guys read my fanbros.com review of the movie, I have mentioned the fact that he plays this wild immaturity that still has so much insidiousness to it. That although Ulysses Klaw was running around talking about, oh, go catch out my mixtape on my SoundCloud link, and he's talking about he made it rain, and he's saying all these childish, silly things, but he will not hesitate to destroy your entire life in a moment's notice. And I think that takes a lot of skill as an actor to be able to bring across a character that really is treacherous through and through. If you want to talk about a villain, he's a villain. He's just treacherous. Klaw is treacherous through and through. At the same time, I liked him. At the same time, I still I wouldn't know, I couldn't trust him, but it was just like, oh, he's probably fun to hang out with still. Like, he's that type.
And so you turn up with him and then you got to go home right after the club because you go to the next spot, y'all getting in trouble. But yeah, they did their thing. I thought Serkis really did his thing. And from what I was hearing, a lot of people, especially South Africans and people from the southern part of Africa, said he sounded like he had an Afrikaan accent. So people, like they were like, "Yo, he sounded legit." So, but just as he's singing the song while he's locked up, you know, it'd be like shit, like little shit like that, where it's like, "Yo, you have the time to joke."
He was like, "Don't hurt me."
Yeah. The What Is Love? Yo, I was rolling because he was hitting it too. Like he caught, like when he walked in, he caught the second part.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they did their thing. I thought they played their roles well.
Yeah, I like Everett stayed in his lane, and that was fine by me. Klaw was just a wild boy. He's just a wild boy, period. And I appreciate him. I will say the first viewing, I was surprised as hell that they dispatched with him so early in the movie. I thought he was going to be there much longer. I had no clue it was going to go down like that.
For comic book fans, Klaw is like a long-term villain who eventually becomes made of sound and gets really powerful. But I think they murdered him off because it'd be really tough to deal with him in the universe after that because he'd be super powerful. And it's like, nah, just get rid of this dude. And also, it was such a twist because, you know, I love those twists too. I love twists when like comic book fans like myself are like, oh, he'll be around forever. And then he'll get wrong, bullet to the face, body bag, open that up, you know, shot face from W'Kabi, like, oh. You know,
the way you said wrong, you sound like Charlie Murphy when he was like, "You thought it was going to happen, right?"
Yeah, wrong. No, yeah.
Peace, Charlie.
And I can't even lie because even after Killmonger did the shot, I'm like, oh, it's a fake out, you know. And then when they open that body bag and he is dead
to the bed, dead.
But that only elevated Killmonger's profile.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He was able to kill Klaw. You knew he wasn't. He wasn't with the shits. You know what I mean?
He wasn't. But it also makes you question. I mean, granted, it was in a different setting, and obviously Klaw had lots of help at the time. The fact that relatively how easy Killmonger was able to take out Klaw versus all the foolishness that T'Challa had to go through and still didn't get him. And again, granted, Klaw had help, and it was in a much different scenario, but still.
Bullets, big difference. Killmonger had bullets.
Killmonger had bullets. You're right. Killmonger had but if you according to Okoye, the bullets and guns, they're so primitive. So
yeah, they are. But according to Killmonger, they work pretty well.
They be primitive as hell. I'll still kill your ass.
Oh gosh!
According to all those marks on Killmonger's body, them shits work quite efficiently.
Yeah.
I don't know how to use the spear. That shit'll kill me too. So,
somebody I wanted to give honorable mention to, even though she had a smaller role, Florence Kasumba as Io. We actually spoke to her back at the Black Comic Book Festival at the Schomburg Center back in January. She plays. She's a lieutenant, right?
Yeah.
Bill Shea. So if Okoye is the general, she's a lieutenant, and she was first seen in Civil War when she did that perfect "move or you will be moved" line. She again, her role was much smaller in this film, but I wonder if they're setting her up to have a larger role in Infinity War, and then secondly, if they're going to revisit or visit, not even revisit, but visit her relationship with her partner and see if that turns into Midnight Angels.
That's interesting because I've seen some articles already coming out, even before the film was actually out, where people are like, Marvel missed their chance. And yeah, that's I can't really go there. I mean, I'm not, this movie has so much representation. And, even speaking to queer folks that I have spoken to, they've been like, yo, there's representation if you look for it. And if you want to go strictly by the comics, Io dates Anika, another character who's not even in the film, really. Right. She might be one of those background Dora, but she has no lines. So if you suddenly start hooking her up with these other characters, it's like, come on.
And her character was never really established beyond just the fact of what you saw in Civil War, and then
one line
taking orders from Okoye. So she's Okoye. She said, "Io, the king."
Yeah.
Yes, General. She said, "Io, go take her to the river province and get Nakia ready." Yes, General. Like, it wasn't too much to it, but I wanted to make sure we mentioned her because she may play a bigger role. And then to the point about the fact that some people say, well, they missed it. First of all, how many fucking Marvel movies have there been? How many occasions have you had to feature queer characters? So I think it's interesting that people are getting loud about the queer characterization not being here in Black Panther, but where were they for everything else?
We know why. But I'll also say, if you follow Christiana Mbakwe, she of African descent from London, and she had a great thread on Twitter about how in the old times in Africa, like the African countries and the people of Africa, gender and sexuality isn't as pronounced and character defining as it is in the Western countries.
Yeah.
So for them to put it out there, like for representation, like sometimes in these movies, they'll gender bend or race bend, or I guess sexuality bend. I don't know what the term is, but they can make a character that was straight, gay, or gay, straight. Like they'll do that in movies for the representation. But in terms of for Africa, like the African people back in the day, it wasn't as pronounced. It was just what you were.
Right.
It didn't define me. So the fact to say that it was missed, you gotta think about it a different way.
I don't also agree with it. I do not also agree with it because I feel like from a Western perspective, unless you're showing a queer character in a relationship how do you know that they're queer? Because queer people are people. So how do you know there weren't queer characters running around fighting W'Kabi in them? How do you know there weren't queer characters in the throne? What would indicate that they are or are not? And then if you look at the way this Wakanda is established, it's an equitable nation. There are no gender roles. And while we talked about women really serve a higher purpose there was no pronounced understanding of men do this and women do that. There was no, this is your job and this is what you do and this is what queer people do. Like, it was none of that because it wasn't from an entirely Western, really kind of supremacist viewpoint. It was just kind of like, this is our society and this is how everybody is. There were thousands of people shown when they were walking around the city, the capital city. How do you know?
We all know M'Baku is one big old bear anyway.
Stupid.
I'm gonna leave that there.
We've got a lot. We've got a lot of questions though, don't we, from the audience this week?
We do have questions, Benhameen. Nice way to get away from that one. But
I just crushed all your hopes and dreams right there.
You ain't crushed my hopes and dreams. Winston Duke is Winston Duke. He has a girlfriend.
Yes.
So, no.
Y'all don't care. Come on. Y'all don't care. Y'all don't care.
I don't care.
Y'all don't care. Y'all,
I'm quite honest with you. I don't care.
That man could be an honest, not cheating, faithful man, and y'all don't want to turn him for some fantasy. Y'all
what? So yeah, let's go into some of these questions. The first question comes from Adam Sheffer of the Adam Sheffer's Hip Hop, aka Music Man 88 on Twitter. They write, since y'all have seen the movie multiple times, are there any scenes, lines y'all loved more or less the second time around?
Oof.
Question.
Great question. I think the one that I mentioned before, because I didn't really peep that until the second or third time, was Shuri sunning Nakia at the end.
Oh yeah, she's sunned. Yeah. She sunned everybody.
She suns everyone. Yeah, it suns everyone. It's but that was like that extra sunning that I didn't really peep. So that was one of them.
What about you, Jeff?
I appreciated the dialogue between Jobu and Killmonger and the ancestral plane. Because like the first time you're watching it, you're like, okay, but then when you watch it a second time or multiple times, the impact just it is like watching a This Is Us episode over and over and over and over again. Like it's coming and you're gonna cry, but that and just some of the one-liners. Like if you go into different theaters, there may be points where the crowd laughs. In other theaters, it may take a while to catch it, so you may catch those little extra lines that they throw in. That was the best difference I could see from showing to showing, where you go, I see it at a press screening, and then I go see it with my people. I'm good. It's gonna hit different ways, and I think for me, that's where the lines differentiated. There wasn't anything I saw that I hated the second time around. Yeah,
same. There was nothing that lost its efficacy the second, third, fourth, or fifth time around for me. I will say that a line that hit me deeply, or a couple lines that hit me deeply the first time, really struck home for me, and I started seeing the different levels of it. One, when T'Challa first visits the ancestral plane and he sees his father, and he bows down to his father, and his father looks at him and says, "Get up, you are a king." And I could tell that line wasn't just to T'Challa. That line was, to me, the way I took it, was for every Black person in America that ever felt down or felt like they weren't worthy or whatever, or felt disconnected. He was just like, you're a king, and you have to understand and recognize that. And for T'Challa to get that from both his parents, because when he first was in the fight with M'Baku, when M'Baku was giving them headshots, when he looked back, he was almost out of it. And Angela said, "Show him who you are." And she said that with such might and power. And in the back of my head, I was like, well, shit, what the fuck am I doing sitting here? I need to show everybody who I am, show people my greatness, and show people my light. Those two particular lines just hit me even more so the second time around. Yeah.
No, I agree with everything you just said there, especially, that the ancestral plane scene. I mean, I don't know. The third time, I think I was so prepared for it, but the first two times I saw the film, I burst into tears at the very end.
Yeah.
When my man walks up to him and says, Who are you? I burst into tears, just, complete tears. So yeah, the third time I could handle that, but the first two times it was like, nah, I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
That "who are you" question was like prevalent. That was the overall figuring out. Killmonger's been trying to figure out who he is.
Yep.
He knows when he gets the throne, but he really doesn't, because who he was damaged from a kid. Black Panther's trying to figure out, T'Challa's trying to figure out who he is and who Wakanda is, whether they're going to stay away and isolate or really help and open themselves up to the world. Everybody's looking for a purpose, and everybody's looking for who they are. And you get it reinforced throughout the entire movie.
Since we're talking about that, this is actually another question about favorite scenes and what scenes read differently to you. Interesting enough, the first time that scene where to your point where Killmonger is in saying "ask my name" and people are trying to figure out who he is, the first time around it felt like a Maury episode to me because he said when they were like ask me, and then T'Challa was like, "No, we're not doing that." And then of course here come Nakia's dad. Who are you? And I'm like, damn, Dad, like, and then he yells out in Wakandan, I'm in the Jaka, and then the trap music hits, and I'm like, we the baby
stupid.
daddy, like
it's stupid because I could think about it like he has his nose, look, that's my dad. He has his lips, he has his nose.
I immediately again the first time I viewed it, I took it like it was some scandalous type thing, like it's like the whole world change up. And then the second time around, I took it more to what you said, Jeff, how it was of a deeper understanding of who are you in this world and who are you in a greater connection of the African diaspora. So were there any scenes for either you that played differently the first or second time you watched it?
I think we got that there.
That one?
Yeah. I say real quick when he said that he was a Wakandan and you hear the ad libs when they were laughing, somebody was like, "Hey!" And I was like, "Yo, that's every Caribbean household, including my own, that I've ever been." Like those little ad libs with the laughing, like even M'Baku when he first came down, he did the Nigerian like he said something, he was like, at the end, and I was just laughing because it's like, especially for people from New York, where you grow up with all the Caribbeans, all the Africans, where those were there were Easter eggs, there were Marvel Easter eggs, there were Black American Easter eggs, there were African Easter eggs and diaspora Easter eggs. So depending on your background and where you grew up, you had some little thing that you could you could take and say, yo, those are my people.
Absolutely.
I mean, the shoulder dance is straight, Ethiopia. That's
even the Dora when they were like doing the other type of bounce, like that's oh man, the levels and the inspirations and connections to so many different cultures is just absolutely breathtaking. The next question comes from Chiz Nuke. They write, pick one character from Black Panther. You get to make a buddy film about them. And one other random hero from the MCU. Who are you choosing and why?
Good fuck.
Shuri, Rocket Raccoon, Tony Stark. Let's go.
They said one guy. You don't
He's like three. You don't care. He said F the rules.
F the rules. Got to get all three of them together. I need the wisecracking and the science, from all three of them going at it. If not, just Shuri and Tony. I'm good.
Okay. I'm still thinking. I just like no matter what. I just want M'Baku to be there. So I don't know. I don't know who to.
Let me.
Who do you think?
M'Baku and Drax.
M'Baku and Drax is actually a good combination because they would be freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
Because you would have Drax with his kind of non-understanding of social cues. And then you would have
M'Baku just playing him at every opportunity.
Playing him and being sarcastic as hell all the time. So I think it would end up being funny as hell. And then they both have the physicality that works well in terms of an action film buddy cop / thing.
Yeah, like getting into brawls, they could be getting drunk together and get into bar fights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I got two. I would say Shuri and Peter Parker, Tom Holland, Peter Parker.
Yeah.
I think there's a classic. It's a comic panel where Peter Parker has to go to Wakanda and he's getting his hair braided.
Yes,
and he's getting his hair braided, and T'Challa doesn't know. So when he walks in, he's looking at him like, "Yo, I left you alone for 5 minutes," and he was just like, "Yo, it's not what it looks like."
And he was like, "You're not getting your hair braided."
right. And it's just hilarious because I feel like, especially with the Peter Parker Tom Holland plays.
Oh my God, yeah.
First of all, his intellect, he would be blown away by Wakanda. And just him and the way him and Shuri, just that like childhood, that fun type stuff. Like I think that would be good, and I just think it would be ill to see Okoye and Jessica Jones because that shit would be just shade for two. It would just be nothing but shade and fucking people up.
Or Nakia, I could see Nakia and Jessica Jones because Nakia gets down and dirty, and we.
Yeah, a spy film.
Spy film like that. Man, see, there's so many because, well, damn.
Jessica seems much less of a spy than she is just straight up brawler.
Yeah, like, but yeah, she's a detective.
She's a detective, right? But she's a detective that drinks whiskey and all this, or whatever drink she drinks. Like she's very harsh. She's very direct and harsh. She's not like Batman sneaking around detective. She's not like Solid Snake spy either. She's just she's very
I can see Okoye judging her. Definitely judging her. Like, you sit and drink whiskey all day. Like, who are you?
She's very intense. But I think you know what? Because all of these characters in Black Panther are so likable that they would work across the board with many, if not all, of the MCU characters.
And that's the thing. Infinity War, they've already said, I read an interview like last year where they were talking about there's a lot of different combinations of characters in this film that you haven't seen or expected. And like they were just talking about like when, you know, being on set with these people, it just became where they're like, okay, we got to put these characters in a scene because they're doing so well together, just cracking jokes. So let's see what happens. And
we didn't even go into weaponry because you can talk about how different weaponry complements each other across the MCU. Like, you know, when you're talking about whether people are using staffs, whether they're using their hands and being real down and dirty like Nakia, or whatever the case may be, or using technology like you mentioned, Tony Stark and all this stuff. There's so many combinations.
On that note, another question came from Mblaku, which is, I mean, that's an amazing name. But he said, or they said, don't you think that Shuri should be Ironheart? No. But no, they actually said, don't think Shuri should be Ironheart, but her Black Panther armor should be a precursor to the Bleeding Edge armor. And for those who don't know, in Infinity War commercial, you see Tony using the Bleeding Edge armor, which is an armor that forms. And we've already seen that. So, you know, but once again, Wakanda's favorite lawyers, we might have to get in touch. Shuri might have to get in touch because, yeah, I think, I don't know. I kind of hope that that's what the case is, that, you know, Tony comes to Wakanda and Shuri's like, yo, let me help you out over here, son. You know, and hooks his armor up and gives him.
Or just takes his armor and hooks it up.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I made adjustments already.
Yeah.
He's like, what? Yeah, to your point, no, I don't think she should be Ironheart because I think Ironheart is Ironheart. I think Riri is Ironheart, and then you don't have to meld all these characters together. Like, let Riri, like, first of all, let Riri live because she's barely been alive for how many, a year maybe?
Yeah,
so,
a couple years now.
Yeah, let's let her establish herself a bit more, and let's get more Shuri. So I don't want them to kind of merge in that way. Now, if there's more history down the line, could there be a passing of the mantle? Sure, why not? But right now, I just like them separate.
Yeah. And I don't even need, like, people are talking about, well, maybe Riri Williams to, you know, attend a Wakandan Academy. It's like, no, Riri can grow up in New York. You know, she can be a genius by herself. She can invent a suit of armor just like she did in the book, all by herself, without any connection to anyone. And then they can meet later. Then that's dope. You know, Riri meets Shuri later on. I'm fine with that. But, you know.
I mean, I understand wanting to have the Black girl party. I really understand.
Yeah, I understand it. But let every Black people don't know each other.
Let them cook first, and we'll get there.
She has her own distinct origin story and why she became who she was. And if they stop paying Robert Downey Jr. $1 billion and they take him off the board, that can be the impetus for her to start working on his armor, you know, out of nowhere and doing what he did. And she's from Chicago also, which is its own thing.
Oh, sorry. I thought New York. There you go.
She's from Chicago, and, you know, her best friend died in gang violence, and that also shaped who she was too. So I wouldn't want to lose that essence of her character.
Jackie Alcine, hi Jackie, writes, is Killmonger dead?
Yes.
That is a doornail.
That was a nice move.
That is a doorknob. Yeah.
That was such a great line, though.
I think it had to be that way. Like, Killmonger said so himself. He was just like, why keep me alive? Because all you're going to do is lock me up. And obviously he said the more deeper part of that, which you can recite if you like Benhameen. I know that's your favorite or one of your favorite lines.
Bury me in the ocean with the rest of my ancestors who jumped from the ships because they knew that death was better than bondage.
Right. So Yeah, so it still give you chill. So I couldn't see him allowing himself to. He would probably, if they kept him alive somehow and locked him up, he would kill himself. Because I just he would commit Harakiri or whatever. Like I just don't think that he would allow that type of his freedom to be taken away from him like that. And in order to resolve the story, he had to go. Like I'm not sure any other way this could have played out.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, there's Infinity Stones, there's Shaman, there's
no. But
I'm just saying. But that doesn't mean he stays dead. Nobody
stays dead. Marvel Comics have shown us time and time again that nobody stays dead, and regardless of what they say about who now has the mantle, the original is probably coming back next week. But that being said, I also think because people personally like Killmonger so much, they don't want him to be dead. They're looking for any excuse to raise him up. And I'm just like, you know, sometimes you gotta let characters die. Now, if he does come back, great, but I'm not mad if he doesn't.
To me, this is like the Walter White situation again, where, you know, you have a dude who is a great, like, you know, I mean, Walter had, you know, more personal motives than Killmonger, but in the end, both
more personal.
Well, I mean, they both had different personal motives is what I mean. Like Walter was about his family. Walter wasn't, you know, at any point about liberation of anybody but his own family. You know, Killmonger at one point was like, I'm gonna save everybody, you know, and then was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna kill everybody. But I mean, both of them are some strummy ass motherfuckers who people just love, and you know, both of them, you know, they gotta die. So
yeah, I don't think there's any way around it.
There's plenty of villains for Black Panther to deal with. Trust me.
There we go.
What I think is going to go down in Infinity War, he's going to have some problems at home.
Oh, I mean, that is something that, like, since I've seen Black Panther, now I am in fear because I know they're going to blow up Wakanda something fierce, and it's going to hurt me. It's going to hurt my
We know that Infinity Stone is there. And I don't know if it was you going to...
No, damn it. I just can't... No.
We know, I'm telling you that Infinity Stone's in Wakanda.
Wakanda gone, bro.
I mean, not to say that Wakanda wouldn't help, because clearly now they're on the path to helping the greater world. But I can't, without them being attacked directly, I can't see T'Challa and them allowing their entire army to help Cap and the rest of them for sake of saving whatever. Like,
God damn it.
If it's the world at stake, then yes, they're gonna jump in. But if it's just like, oh, we need some help, they're gonna be like, well, you know, we just been out here 3 days, man. I don't know, like, you know, like they just are doing the global outreach. They just started, so there's got to be something heavier. And I think that Infinity Stone is in Wakanda.
All right, see, you're all taking this very calmly and saying all this now, but what if I say something like this? What if Thanos and the Black Guard, whatever his crew are, kill M'Baku?
They'll find another one. It's okay.
Why would he kill M'Baku? I got quiet because I was like, why would they kill him?
She was legit like,
why would they kill him? But no, I don't feel like, but I'm going to be calm regardless. Because like I said, I think, I won't be, that stone is there and they're going to F up Wakanda something fierce.
No.
You don't want it, but it's going to happen. But I mean, it's a Wakanda. They're super advanced. They'll fix it. Or they'll use the time stone and put it all back. Who knows?
None of the people can die. That's all I'm saying. No
Listen,
major.
I didn't say nothing about death. I said Wakanda was going to get effed up. I didn't say everybody was going to die.
All right.
Dying, bro.
So, let's do maybe one or two more. This one's from Be More Slick. They write, if you could add or omit one thing from Black Panther, what would it be? They write, I would have Killmonger go out different in the end. A little more dramatic, like other villains we love, aka String of Bells or Cottonmouth.
What? Yeah. Be More Slick. I know you're a long-time listener. We F with you out there, but what? Like, I mean, you got to put Killmonger up there with any villain's death. That's one of the greatest of all times. Like, that was a nice move. Like, you can't beat that line. Like, my man just stabbed in the chest and was like, nice move. And then
he pulls the knife out himself.
Yes, that's the last greatest line, perhaps, of top 10 last lines of a villain of any. Come on now. And that's not something I'm changing at all. No. I mean, Stringer Bell does draw like a ball.
And then Killmonger actually spoke very much in prose, like throughout the movie. He was very even he was speaking almost Shakespearean almost. So I think he was already epic as it was.
I'll take you both, Uncle James. I don't know if that's
not
very
that. I'm talking about when he was talking about his mission and why things needed to happen and all this other stuff. Like, I think he was already epic to begin with.
Oh my God.
Tragic character, and he died in a tragic way. I think if one thing I would add to the movie is a more pronounced necropolis.
Yes.
The city of the dead.
Yes.
Burning. I forgot the Wakandan name, but people have theorized that where they touched into the astral plane, where they buried T'Challa, Killmonger, that was. I think that was because it's its own separate place.
Yeah,
they didn't even bring it up, which makes me think that's prime for the second one, for Black Panther 2. But I would have liked to at least have them touch on it or show it or talk about it a little bit. But that's like an added bonus. Maybe they cut it out. you buy the Blu-ray DVD or whatever, and you see something to talk about it. But that would probably be the only thing I would add, and I wouldn't omit anything.
This isn't an answer to the question, but it was just a comment I wanted to say. They definitely have more heart-shaped herb hidden somewhere. I refuse to believe that every single last one was in that one room. There's definitely a secret hive or a secret compartment somewhere where they're like, in case of tragedy, like a doomsday vault kind of thing. In case of tragedy, this is where we keep all our stuff to keep our culture going, type of thing. I think Wakanda is way too smart to just have everything in one place.
Right.
Yeah. And also, in referring to the necropolis and everything, I know that, like you said, they didn't really show it, but I liked when they did pull back the camera and you see the archways, because those archways, they always show those in imageries of like when they're leading towards the necropolis and the land of the dead.
Right.
And I was just so hyped to see even the spirit world, because I knew they were going to show it, but when they showed all the different Panthers showing up from the past and stuff, that was so ill to me. There were so many little things in this movie. I mean, there's more I could add, but like, I'm hoping for that 4-hour version, the director's cut to come out, because it's like there's more I could add, but at the same time, this joint is perfect as is. Damn near perfect, if not perfect. So
same. I wouldn't change anything I saw at all. No. To Ben's point, I just would like to see what the extended no cuts version looked like. I don't even care if it doesn't make sense. I just want to watch it.
Like Roots, it could be 20-day watch. Fuck it, let's do it.
Fuck it.
Let's go.
Did you guys like the CG? Did you have any issues with the CG in the movie?
There were some niggles here and niggles. There were some niggles here and there, but nothing to take me out of it. Like when he was talking to W'Kabi at the farm, and they were talking about the rhinos. The rhino looked just a tiny bit funny to me. Maybe on a third viewing, and also I saw it in IMAX and I saw it in 3D. 3D, the ships flying around, they look a little more fake for some reason. Like they didn't look like they really, I don't know, they just stuck out way more than they should have. But again, it wasn't enough where it was like, yo, that CG is horrible, terrible.
Yeah, that for me, I'm like, if people say that, I question your eyes. Like I think we need to start a dialogue on what constitutes bad CGI versus good CGI, because I think people throw it around like that term, the CGI was horrible. When I look at it, I'm like, I've seen horrible CGI in my life.
Same.
Last scene in Wonder Woman was horrible CGI.
That's actually a great
that shit is like PS2 God of War.
Yeah, that's actually a great example. I did not like the way they animated her lasso. The lasso looks super stop motion to me for some reason. Like,
oh, see, I like that. I like the stop motion of the lasso.
I don't. I'd rather it was smooth like all the other CG. So that's me.
I feel you. Yeah, I think that's.
And we're talking about bad CG. Was it not Last Jedi? Rogue One. When they were in the beginning, when they were showing a lot of the ships, they looked like Legos. Like they didn't look as good as they did in the past. So I don't know. But again, there's different levels to bad CG, but I think people need to discern what they mean when they say that, because sometimes people are just hating.
I think the other thing about it is that CGI is always going to look worse and worse as your years go by. So what really matters is, like, I was watching Civil War the other day, and as good as that big fight scene looks, I mean, most of it still looks incredible. There's one shot where Cap and Bucky are running along the ground behind Giant Man, and it looks so fake and so terrible. And it's really quick. But what matters is, like, in the fight with Black Panther and the Golden Leopard, with Killmonger at the end, when they fall through the hole, I feel like, okay, this kind of feels like they didn't really have weight to them like I would like, but they're also falling. There's a lot. It's hard to do. But at the same time, it didn't matter because I'm so emotionally invested in these characters. And I think that's what matters. And I think when people are hating on the CGI, it's like, bruh, come on. I mean, I've seen the fight like 3 times and I still cringe to see who's going to win. You know, so it's like, come on now.
I actually really like that scene you mentioned with them fall. But to me, it made sense that they were that's the first time I've seen like besides maybe in Captain America where you saw like a free fall fight.
Yeah.
It was quiet on purpose. They were falling through the air. And you didn't hear anything except for when they would hit each other and they would tussle. And that shit was tough to me because I've never really seen a fight done like that. And then for it to be almost silent, but it was literally on the verge of being deadly. And then for them to hit the ground or hit the track so hard, that was beautiful.
I mean, can we talk about the fact that the last fight takes place on an underground railroad?
In a mountain?
I didn't even think about that.
I didn't think about that either. Twitter, pointed that out to me, and I'm just like, F you, Ryan Coogler. Like, really, dog? You really got me that good?
Like,
really?
Man. I'm the weebo gift right now.
Y'all too woke for me. My third eye, I'm itching my third eye right now.
I mean that.
It's weebo. I'm the weebay gift right now. Like,
I mean, you already effed me up when when y'all made me realize how many times "Who Are You" came up in this movie, and I'm already hating Ryan Coogler and his strip writing already. Like, come on, thanks.
Also, Joe, what's the co? Because he was co-writer.
Coat.
No, it was Joe Robert Cole. Joe Robert Cole also wrote the script.
2 black men killed it. Yeah, no doubt. Shout out to both of y'all.
Yeah. Is there one more question you guys want, or
are we gonna wrap it up?
I think we have one more question. We could wrap it up, but Danya Dabs writes, if the OG Wesley Snipes version of Black Panther had been greenlit,
man,
how do you imagine it would have been executed and received based on the public consciousness of that time?
I'm sorry, like. And everybody, I know, we asked the Wesley Snipes question, so everybody thinks that, it's all Wesley Snipes over here. But look, it would have been eyed at best. Like, Wesley himself has admitted that he was talking about running around in a leotard. that was to be the Black Panther costume. Black
Panther.
Yeah, and it would have been like, he would have been like in the city, of New York. There's no way they would have been able to do it. It's the same reason why the whole Marvel universe is working right now, because the CGI and all the other special effects have caught up to the time where you can do these characters.
Yeah.
Like, man, who cares?
I think it came. I think this Black Panther, this version was the right version at the right time with the right people. But to answer the question, I don't know how it would be received. I don't. For all we know, it could have been great, but we also had Blade there, at least the first, which was really great. So I don't.
Yeah,
I'm glad it didn't happen, to be honest.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. You got a great Blade series, and really the beginning of all of these movies and representation. Like, Blade low key set this off. So
I always disagree with that one. People always say that, and
but it was actually Marvel, right?
No, it's not. That's the first thing. It's not Marvel.
Who was that?
In terms of, I think it was
Sony or Fox.
Was it Sony or
New
Fox?
Line or New Line? Might even be New Line. Yeah, New Line.
But I'm just saying, talk about the representation. We got that with Blade. We got that with Wesley Snipes. And Wesley Snipes is an underrated movie star, because he's had some crazy hits. But I'm just saying, even you talk about Meteor Man, you talk about Blade, like, people are played the roles. Sometimes you're meant to play the roles that you played. And I'm very happy we got Blade Wesley Snipes and not T'Challa Wesley Snipes. And I think also our technological advances in terms of movie making make Wakanda possible in 2018.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, yeah,
it would have looked like fucking, I don't even know what it would look like. It would have looked like fucking Channel 11. Well, that's WPIX in New York. It would have looked like a B movie on Sunday morning.
Right. And then you wouldn't have the same people involved on the back end. Like, yeah, Ruth was around, but all the people Ruth worked with on the costuming weren't necessarily around or even, old enough to be part of this movie. Would Joe Robert Cole and Ryan Coogler be writing this movie? No.
They wouldn't be alive.
Yeah, it's just a lot of things, like everyone, like you said, I mean, sure, it's cool to wonder, but in the end, it would have been like you said, it would like coming to America. Remember that technology that they showed Africa then? Like, you know, if you go watch that now, it's like somebody's backyard. Come on now, like no.
Are you stupid?
I mean, it is. It's like a Hollywood backyard, and they have an elephant walk by. Like, no, no.
Yeah. And as far as to wrap it up, there's absolutely going to be a Black Panther sequel, maybe several. Who knows when that's going to happen, but I'm sure they're going to update the end. I don't know what phase they're in now, what phase they will be by the time the sequel shows up. But that's definitely happening. Again, I think that Infinity Stone is in Wakanda. I think Killmonger is actually dead. And I don't think that Zuri's accent will change.
Well, that's the thing. People are asking why haven't they, announced a sequel yet? But the thing is, they haven't announced anything.
They haven't announced anything, so
because until Infinity War comes out, allegedly, whatever happens in Infinity War is so big that they can't say what the next slate of Marvel movies will be. So that's why they haven't announced anything yet.
Right.
Normally by now, we'd know up until like 2020, but now we only know the next two.
But we know for a fact there's going to be movies through 2020, and Marvel has been very systematic in the way that they express and announce what's coming next. So I don't have no problem, especially the fact that this movie is already, what is it, at 300 mil right now?
426.
406. Globally.
Globally.
Globally, it's almost $500 million.
242. He more than doubled up the budget in 4 days. Like that's like a Jay-Z money lyric in box office form.
In 4 days, it made more money than the entire run of Justice League.
That is a crushing blow to DC. Like that is like
the entire run, my guy.
Yeah, of their greatest trilogy of characters, and just crushed them up in 4 days.
Animaniacs rolling over in their tower.
Yeah, I keep telling y'all, DC, WB, they did not have a plan, and they keep throwing shit at the wall, seeing what happens. But whatever, we're not talking about DC. That said, we talked a lot about Black Panther. We talked about different scenes we love. We talked about all the different themes, the CG, the FX, the tech, which was incredible. I know Benhameen and we were gifted with real life Kimoyo beads. Which is the beads that you guys see them wear in the movie, where they press it and then something cool happens, whether it's a hologram or whether they're activating something really cool. And we also talked about the characters and their motivations and how we felt about them. Wrapping it up, can we just have any comments about the music?
I mean, I want to talk about the music, but wrapping up, because there's something that I don't think I really said before, and I've been talking about this a lot, with people lately, is that, like I said, we talked about how, it makes you feel like you're in Africa. And we talk about how you see all these different destructions and all these different viewpoints and all these different, representations of different sides of what it means to be an African, what it means to be an African American, what it means to deal with immigration, what it means to deal with grief and all these things. And what I just cannot get over is the fact that all these things are in this big ass Disney movie that has now made all of this money. And Marvel, like people, I was having an argument with a friend of mine the other day, and he was like, this movie will never be bigger than Star Wars. And I'm like, are you bugging? Do you understand that Disney is behind this, and Disney does not leave money on the table? So by this time next year, you're going to see a young little Black Panther, like maybe cartoon, or he'll be featured more in all the cartoons. Shuri and all them will be featured in the cartoons for the 4-year-olds. And then they'll have one for the 7-year-olds and then one for the 10-year-olds. And then it's just going to keep going like that. So when you look behind me and you see all this merchandise, and it's like all of this stuff is centered around this movie that is so personal to African Americans and Africans in general. And I just can't get over that. That is like, I just want to thank Ryan, everyone involved. Like, I cannot believe that
they did that.
That we live in this world.
And I don't understand when people say, oh, it's never going to be bigger than Star Wars. At the end of the day, you see this, my Black Panther stuff, and you see that guy in the back. At the end of the day, Disney owns all of it. So it doesn't matter what little petty stuff you say. Disney is getting that dough regardless.
Yeah, I think that we need to finally bury the Disney won't let X happen, because
right?
Berries.
That's the dumbest thing.
There needs to be a burial for the Disney narrative that they won't let certain things fly in movies, that Black cast, both behind and in front of the screen, won't sell. Those narratives all need to slowly be buried and go away. It's not talking about indie movies or anything like that, but we're showing that we can be profitable in movies. There's no more excuses at this point. If you're an exec and you whitewash movies or you don't create movies that have diverse cast, you don't want to make money.
Disney's mantra is, I'm going to make money regardless.
Yeah.
Making dollars.
And that's what kills me when people are like, oh, this movie, you know, this and that, and they were doubting it. And, you know, I love this moment, too, because you can go back about a year ago on Fanbro Show, and I know all of us said this, like, this would be Marvel's biggest movie ever. You know, we said this then, and people doubted me then. People doubted me weeks before the film came out. And I just kept saying, like, y'all don't understand what is about to happen. And then it was validated by the greatness. Like I just keep saying that I can't get over it. I cannot believe that this movie lived up to what we expected it to. And in a lot of cases, it exceeded it. And I just love to see all these different destructions. Like tonight, I'm learning more things about the film. You know, it's incredible. You know, hats off. Thank you to everyone involved. You know, my God.
Yeah. Shouts to Kendrick and the rest of the people behind the score of the film. Perfect music, perfect to go along with the visuals. I just think everything matched up very well, and again was a perfect amalgamation of all of the different cultures within the diaspora, and everything just worked so cohesively, and it was a delight, complete and utter delight.
They used the score and the album well, where they had, they used the songs where they were necessary. I know the album has got mixed reviews, but in terms of how they utilized it along with the score, it was perfect. Yeah. It was perfect. Who would think that you would hear trap music, classical music, and traditional music in a Black Panther movie made by Disney in the year of our Lord 2018? If you told me that as a kid, I would have gave you some lotto numbers to play for me so that I could be good to go, because, you know, I don't know. But yeah, this is where we are now. It's a great place to be.
Yeah, and actually the soundtrack is by Kendrick Lamar and the whole TDE crew, and the score was by Ludwig Göransson, who is the dude who's worked with Childish Gambino on like pretty much everything since Community. So dude is super talented, and I love the score. I've been jamming the score lately because people are mad that the soundtrack didn't have enough Afrobeat and real African music in it, but the score has all of that deep, you know, embedded in it. So if you haven't heard the score by itself, check it out. And you can also check out the Crown Wakanda mixtape, you know, DJBenhameen.com, which has been getting rave reviews around the internet. You know,
cop that. You know, download.
Somebody you know might have done it.
Please share. I got those for you. Yo, RIP Z Share, yo. Like, yo, bruh.
Yeah, I'm still running Z Share. What do you mean RIP? That joint is still working.
Zippy, is that Zippy Share or is that
Zippy Share?
Okay, we're not here to talk about piracy, but again, we've said pretty much almost everything we could think, and I'm sure we'll think of more after we get off of here, but we've said quite a lot about Black Panther, and we thank everybody for joining us, for listening to what we had to say. If you have any comments, definitely comment below in the video comments. If you want to have something more lengthy to write, email us, contact@fanbros.com. If we like you enough, or if you're cool enough, we might send you a pop vinyl figure. I don't know. Maybe. Look at what I mean.
Cool too.
One of these little bad boys. Yeah, please make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, on SoundCloud. If this is your first time checking out the Fanbro Show, we every week on SoundCloud.com. You know, make sure you search Fanbro Show, hit that subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button right here on YouTube. Thank you to everybody for listening and watching, and we out here.
Stay black.
I'll take you both, Uncle James.